computer ko. I have problem with my internet the whole week today. Hi, Ma'am Vicky.
Hi. Hi, sir. Kamusta po sa US?
Okay lang.
Ano
In
ba dyan?
person
Summer?
na kami.
Ha?
Magpo-fall na po. First day of fall.
Okay. So, face-to-face na kayo.
Opo.
So, ang requirement nyo for face-to-face is the student should be vaccinated?
Vaccinated at saka mask.
Okay. Okay.
Okay naman po kami dito. Unlike other states na medyo problemado yung incidents nila ng COVID.
Okay. So, sa inyo, more or less contained naman.
Opo.
Okay.
Kasi ni-required ng mga school na mag-mandate na mag-vaccinate eh.
Okay. Kami malayo pa. Although merong strategy, magpe-face-to-face, laboratory lang. And pag laboratory, thesis lang. Walang laboratory classes, thesis lang. And for thesis, graduate student lang. So hindi pa rin talaga pwede yung undergraduate students. So etong mga Chem 137 natin, they really have to look into yung mga videos na lang siguro, and kailangan nilang i-equip yung sarili nila. Baka nga gumraduate sila na hindi na talaga nakahawak ng instruments. But hopefully, sana itong learning resources natin sa 137 is very useful and very rich. Kaya nga like ko sila nire-remind na basta devote much time, lalo na yung mga videos and mga links. Tapos ngayon nga, katulad ngayon, we have a combined Zoom meeting, take advantage of it para nakaka-learn din tayo kahit pandemic, kahit nasa bahay. So pumapasok ka na, pumupunta ka na university.
Opo. Ang klase ko Saturday to Thursday eh. Kasi binigyan ako ng Monday niya na Sunday dito.
Grabe. Ano oras kayo dyan?
11:30 ng gabi po.
So 12 hours ang natin. 11:30 ng gabi ng Wednesday. Okay. So ang load mo is 137 at saka
2:30.
Okay.
But the 2:30 second time ko na pong mag-teach with IB. So na-develop na namin yung material.
Okay. Ako talagang parang pina-finals ako. Para ini-initiate ako ng IC.
Malay mo, magbago direktor.
Oo nga eh. Dati kasi si Avic, hindi naman talaga ako welcome as an affiliate. Pero ngayon, meron kasing problema yung Chem sa 32. Yun. So, naawa naman sa akin yung analytical division. Hindi naman ako binigyan ng 32, 137. Kaya lang, matrabaho din.
Students, pagpasensyahan nyo na first time pareho namin magturo nito.
Oo.
And the materials,
ayan, umiyak na tuloy si Hara.
And the materials was only given to us, I think 2 weeks ago. So, kami din, medyo Okay. And sad to say, iba kasi yung materials ko kaysa doon sa 137. So, I have to also learn some stuff. So I think we would like to in advance na give an apology dito sa sitwasyon natin. But once the instrument come, okay na yan. Because yun yung usually tinuturo ko dito, more on the instrument. And based on the materials, as I told my students, you have more materials that is covered than the one that I typically covered. And as you see in the video, yung chapter 1 ninyo, yung equivalent nun, yung calculations na ginawa natin for detection limit, standard addition, and the internal standard. So usually that's the quality control calculation or method validation. So usually that's the common thing that what we call do here. And what makes it a little bit complicated, at least for me, I'm a Harris person, and I think the one that they developed the material is some sort of Skoog. Okay. Between the two, my experience, I was educated using Skoog, but I prefer to teach using Harris. Parang instructor friendly for me yung Harris kaysa doon sa Skoog. And I think the main reason why this was given to us is to make sure that that we double check the material that they develop. As you could see, there are some errors there. So I think yun yung parang main contribution natin for that for this thing. But what I have told you is whatever experience that we have, we will share to you. Ma'am, meron kaming nag-group page kami sa Facebook. So, pag meron akong video sa lab, I just posted the video there so they can see.
Sige, ibigay mo na lang sa akin yung link para maibigay ko sa mga bata sa Google Classroom. Actually, yung lecture mo doon ko pinost sorry. Tama, yung lecture mo with regards yung yung reproducibility, repeatability. Pero yung isa, hindi ko pa pinopost kasi medyo advanced yun meron na yung instrumentation
It's introduction ho talaga yun.
Oo. Ako naman kasi, hindi kami Skoog, hindi kami Harris. Noong 1977, ang textbook namin ay si Ewing.
Opo.
So lumang-luma na yon. Ewing, Instrumental Methods of Analysis yung title ng book. So hindi talaga ako trained. Kayo pa lang din ako nag-adjust. Kaya nga I'm asking the help of Sir Elmer para at least ma-unify natin. Siguro helpful tong tong joint Zoom meeting ng klase natin para in case nga merong mga problems, ma-trash out natin. And ako naman, honestly, nung nakita ko yung course outline, parang ang dami. Sabi ko,
talaga.
Matatapos kaya ito? Kaya actually, ayoko talagang mag-deal sa data analysis tsaka statistics kasi nababasa nyo naman. Mas maganda talaga yung sa instrumentation tsaka yung sa quality assurance yung susunod. Anyway, tingnan na lang natin and then siguro mag-suggest na lang tayo na medyo i-modify para talagang ma-cover yung importanteng mga na instrumental methods. Ayun. So Elmer, magdidepend talaga ako sa'yo ngayon kasi wala talaga akong references. Actually, yung Skoog, yun nga, bago ko pa lang din binabasa, tapos yung si Harris, binigyan naman ako ni She. Ayun, kaya pag meron kang mga recorded videos, kasi wala din akong prepare na na videos kasi yun nga late 2 weeks ago lang talaga, before the classes 2 weeks binigay yung course outline. So students, please bear with us and kung meron talaga kayong mga questions, don't hesitate to ask. Sige na Elmer, ikaw na.
I have to dig this na hindi ginagamit doon sa opisina ko.
Yan yung Harris.
Ito po yung Skoog. Now, I use Harris as this one. Pero may I think the one that we have is the 10th edition. So I have what we call the 8th edition.
Okay.
So, ang gagawin lang natin ngayon is if we go over the materials. I'm going to share to you. So this is the one that we have. So mostly ang suggestion namin sa inyo, especially for the quiz, you understand the thing because baka hindi word for word yung question doon. So in the quizzes, we're going to give you multiple choice question. So siguro 10 per chapter. Now in the problem sets, it's a mixture of essay and calculation. So I would suggest go over the example that they have here. So the examples that they have here is fine, but once we discovered some of the answer key, so I would just suggest do it the way that we train you to do it. That's why inano ko nga doon nag-post ako nung ginawa nating meeting with my B2 class last time. Okay? We just concentrate on those things. So usually, ang mangyayari kung ano yung talagang na-concentrate, most likely it will come out. So yung iba, choice na come out, maybe yung mga hindi na-cover, pero may example dito. Okay? Because if you're going to look at this one, this is part, I think some of this can cover analytical, the Chem 32. Okay, so dito lang yung parang simula talaga. That's why in my lecture, doing chemical analysis, I included already some of the instrumentation there. Okay, and then the term, I think you should be familiar with the term. Yung sensitivity, selectivity, specificity, you always use it the other way around. Even I sometimes, I have to look at my sources to make sure I'm teaching it correctly. Okay, robustness and ruggedness is always what we call, whenever we attend a meeting, we always what we call correct ourselves, which is which among them. Okay, so I would suggest you maganda yung mga materials dito na nakalagay. It will really be helpful because come to think of it, pwede namin ibigay sa inyo lahat, but it's still up to you if you want to get it. So ang ano lang namin dito, since you have a board exam, wala kayong choice kundi anuhin to. Kasi sabi ko nga sa sarili ko, the philosophy that I have here in teaching, open notes kami dito, sabi ko, pero it's up to the student kung anong gusto nila, mauno sila, tapos pagdating ng yung in-person na, balik sila sa mga C or D. So they just cheating themselves. So sa inyo, so mauno nyo ito, paano naman sa board exam? Hindi naman kayo pwedeng, do the thing that you have here. So it's up to you if you want to learn from this thing. But all we can promise you, Mama, Vicky, and I, is we're going to give you all the opportunities. Okay, we're going to share to you all the experiences that we have. So at least kahit pa paano, meron kayong matutunan, especially at this setup that we have. Okay?
At saka class, yung board exam talaga is nag-evolve. Ako nung nag-board exam ako noong 1980, ang analytical, hindi pa masyadong very complex. Pero since nag-evolve nga siya, so marami ng questions on instrumentation.
Yep.
Kasi nga, ang feedback kasi ng mga industries, bakit ganun yung mga graduate ng chemistry natin, hindi nila ma-differentiate ang itsura ng HPLC sa GC. Hindi nila alam paano ma-differentiate ang isang FTIR sa UVVs. So, ba't ganun? Nagkukulang yata kayo sa instrumentation. So, dinagdagan nila instrumentation. Kaya as faculty, as teachers, instructors, we are bound to really augment or supplement yung instrumentation part sa inyo. Ganon.
So one of the end goal that we want is if we ask you, let's say, to analyze something, you should have an idea what methods you're going to analyze. And then you can reason out, this one, let's say we ask you, how are you going to analyze volatile samples? So the only choice that you have there is the GC. Okay, and then you are asked, what if you do it in an LC? So paano mo gagawin yun? Let's say wala kayong GC. So ang ano lang namin dito is by the end of the semester, you have an idea kung ano yung different instrumentations that we have and when and where you can use it. Okay? Kasi ang problema ngayon, so sabi ko, absorbance na lang tayo kasi yun yung gagamitin natin. But once we know the principle, we will able to find that the signal that it emits can also be analyzed, let's say, using chromatography. For instance, when we have here DTEX, so that's benzene, toluene, ethylbenzene, and the silenes. So noon, we only use GC, FID or GCMS. And now we found out that we can use Raman spectroscopy on it by just using at the signature. So ganun yung parang way na gusto namin matuto kayo dito sa course na to. Okay? You can apply the knowledge that you have when you go to real life. Kasi usually nga ang exam ko sa mga instrumental ko dito, I have an essay question. So if you're given the money, what's the 3 instruments that you're going to purchase and why? So sasabihin nila, gusto ko AAS kasi metal lang i-analyze ko. Gusto ko LCMS kasi ma-analyze niya halos lahat. So, but basing on the answer that the student says, we as a teacher has an idea, at least kahit paano may natutunan naman sila. Okay? The calculation... Sige, ma'am.
Sige. Mag-a-add lang ako doon related sa sinabi ni Sir Elmer. Kasi pag nasa kumpanya kayo, for example, nasa food analytical lab kayo or sa pharma, hindi naman talaga equip lahat. For example, wala silang LC, meron silang UV-Vis. So in other words, ikaw as a chemist will strategize or innovate. Ito bang method na nahanap ko sa LC, pwede ba ito pa sa UV-Vis? So doon napapasok yung mga sensitivity, selectivity, ruggedness, LOD, LOQ. So doon na talaga papasok yung mga figures of merits or analytical parameters na didiscuss natin ngayon. So it's up to you, the chemist, sa choice ng analytical method. Kasi mag-i-innovate ka Kasi wala tayong budget, sabihin ng boss, to buy an LC. So maghanap ka ng method. Ikaw naman, ano ba yung mga current instruments na pwede kong gamitin? So, yung innovativeness mo, matetest yan. And yun, etong mga analytical parameters na to, gagamitin nyo in order to evaluate ano ba talaga yung method na i-select nyo. Okay. Ayan na, dito na tayo sa problems. Ang daming ad-lib, Elmer.
So, okay lang. So, question. Anyone from B1, B2 section?
Ilan ang students mo, Elmer?
17.
17 plus ako ay 24, dapat 41. Kung present. Plus tayong dalawa, 43. So 35.
So merong 8.
8 na Anyway, naka-record naman.
Opo.
So in case na hindi maka-connect yung iba, yun ang problema connectivity. Yep. Then they can always play the
Kahit ako may problema na rin sa connectivity ko, kaya ginawa kong co-host si ma'am. Kasi I don't know, this week yung yung internet namin is really choppy. Yesterday during the Chem Congress, good thing it was recorded, but during the question and answer portion, I realized that I gave a very long answer, hindi naman pala napanood kasi naputol yung connection ko. Yeah. Kaya most likely, I think starting next week, i-record ko na lang and then make it available. And through Ma'am Vicky. And also, Ma'am Vicky, yung pangalan ko pala sa Google Classroom, since wala akong UP account, Mirna Merillo.
Okay.
So baka mabigla kayo pag
Grabe, wala ka pang 2 semesters ka na nagtuturo, wala pang UP at Edu.
At least si Ivy, siya yung in charge doon sa 2:30. Nung nag-Gen Chem ako, si Mayan tsaka si Annabelle. So nung sabi ko, i-add nyo na lang ako because they have Google Classroom. Sabi ko, i-add nyo na lang tong pangalan ko. Ako to. And the students know that because we communicate through that thing. Okay? I'm using that what we call thing. And the way that we're going to do the quizzes is a Google form. So you will be sent about it and ilang minute po yung ibibigay natin sa kanila?
Nakita ko kasi yung quiz. Madali lang naman. Siguro 30 minutes kayang-kaya nila.
Kasi hindi ko alam kung naputol kayo dyan, kung yung 30 minutes ba kasama yung naputol yung linya or at least you get the whole 30 minutes kahit naputol, intermittent, continuous lang. Because here, we have our own LMS. So when we say 30 minutes, naputol ka man, you still get the whole 30 minutes. But I don't know how Google Forms work. If the line is intermittent or mahina. So I'm not sure, baka mamaya pag-load nyo, you wait for 30 minutes and then after that, hindi nyo na makita yung ibang tanong. So we will see what will happen. So parang tayo yung nag-a-adjust. And the problems that I told you, we will give you, let's say, the question, and we will give you time to answer it, and then you upload it in Google Classroom. So anyone has a question doon sa mga problem?
Yung mga children ko, section V, huwag na kayong mahiya, ha? Hindi ko pa natitignan yung submissions nyo eh. Sa weekend ko pa titignan. Kasi hindi rin ako nakaka-check sa monitor. I have to print it.
Ang hirap po.
I have to print the submissions and then check manually sa paper, sa hard copy.
So question.
Ayan.
May tanong dito.
Uy, mga children of section V, ano mga questions nyo? Doon sa exercises.
The B2. Natapos ba natin to last time? Nag-overtime kami eh.
O yun nga yung tinape mo eh, sinend ko rin sa estudyante. I think huminto siya doon sa ano eh, doon sa may correction.
Sa may correction, no.
Yung sa exercise 3 ba, yung calculations on dynamic range and selectivity?
Yeah, I think ito yung mali.
Ayan, oo. Yung ano dito, yung potassium concentration, it should be 3.00 times 10 to the minus 3.
Opo.
Yan. So, yung sa estudyante ko na ano niya yan, napansin niya. So, yan, 10 to the minus 3.
If you solve it using that one, yung sagot hindi katulad doon sa P.
Okay. So, ang lesson natin, ang mga lessons natin, mga children, don't rely on the answer keys. Kasi, posible din na mali. Mali din. Kaya wag nyo nang tignan. Kahit nakabaliktad siya, nakabaliktad naman, wag nyo nang tignan kasi hindi reliable.
Question. Hana, yung mga estudyante ko. Si Joanne ba nandyan?
Nandito po, sir.
Okay, so dapat kabisado
Sir, okay
nyo na
lang po
to,
ba
ha?
natin po yung question?
Ayan, sige. Jan, may question ka?
May tinype ko na lang po.
Tinype na lang.
Nasa
chat.
Oo. Ayan, nawawala yung connection ko.
Bakit wala akong nababasa sa chat?
Wait, private message po pala kay Sir Elmer
sa
yun.
akin mo.
Sige.
Sorry, sala po.
Sige, Jan.
So question po with regards po doon sa simplified na LOD formula. May mga case po ba na hindi siya yung dapat gamitin? Instead, ang dapat gamitin ay yung formula na SM minus SB1 over M. So, to tell you frankly, I read the thing eh. Ang problema nga dito, wala silang consistency sa LOD. Some book, the one that I use, they use the standard deviation of the sample, okay? And some books, they use the standard deviation of the blank. But what I read, pag sinabi nilang lower LOD, it has something to do with the standard deviation of the blank. Okay, pag yung LOD lang, yung standard deviation ng mga samples. Usually yung mga samples naman na ginagamit dyan yung mga low concentration. Yung parang nasa boundary sila nung blank tsaka yung lowest concentration or LOD level. Okay. Ano masasabi niyo, ma'am?
Kasi based sa experience, kasi nag-audit din kasi ako ng laboratory eh. Iba-iba talaga ma-encounter mo na formula ng LOD. Sometimes, yung very simple na 3 times the standard deviation over the slope. Tapos yung isa nga yung katulad ng nire-raise ni Jan. Kasi ang LOD kasi, it's the lowest concentration almost near the blank.
Yep.
Na magbibigay ng signal. Ngayon ang problema, pag ang blank mo lagi ay 0, hindi ka naman pwede mag-LOD na 0. Di ba? Kaya talagang tinitingnan na lang, by examination na lang, kung ano talaga yung signal na medyo different siya from the blank. Okay. So, ayun, ano na lang, by investigation or by the intuition of a chemist.
And it also depends on instrumentation. Yung mahilig mag-LOD yung mga nasa chromatography because they have a lower LOD compared, let's say, sa spectroscopy. So they want to really, if they can go as low concentration as possible, basta ma-distinguish lang na hindi zero, they're going to do that. Sa spectroscopy, wala. Minsan lower than zero pa yung makukuha mo because of the interference. So, yung LOD in my experience, it's usually used doon sa chromatography and then the electrochemistry. Kasi sila yung parang highly sensitive na methods compared to spectroscopy. So, usually nagde-develop sila. Meron nga ako nabasa na hindi lang +3 times the standard deviation, meron 1.6 something. Sabi ko nga nakakagulo naman dito. That's why what I do is I stick to the one material that I have, tapos yun na lang yung ko para consistency.
So when you do laboratory audits, hindi mo talaga pwedeng i-contest yung formula kasi meron silang sinasite na references and maybe based sa historical data ng either chromatography yung ginagamit nila, spectroscopy, na-establish na rin nila na 3 times sa SB1 over slope. Yung iba nga may mga ganon. So in other words, yung ano bang conclusion natin dito kay John Rio Piña? Basta hindi dapat siya mag-zero. The signal should be just a little over the blank, very near the blank. Saan pang exercise ginamit 'yon?
Doon po ata sa example ko ata ginamit 'yun. Pero ito yung niya ito yung parang selectivity, but this is the one dito.
Oo nga. Alam mo, ang hirap pa dito sa study guide na to, walang page.
Kaya clinip ko po siya yung in-staple ko para, sabi ko pag nag-loose yan, ako yung maguguluhan. So naka-staple ko.
Oo, walang pages kaya kung hindi natin ma-refer anong page Ito yung equation 1.4 ata. Yan, dyan sa page na yan. Okay. So nakalagay dito, the equation can be further simplified.
So meron ganito na LOD, meron din yung minimum detectable concentration, which I think is this one. But these are just derivative of one another. Pag tiningnan mo yung doon, yung dito. And the K that they usually have here is 3.
Ito tinanong din to ni Jan yung nagtanong. Sabi niya, bakit ba 3? Sabi ko, basahin mo nga si Kaiser. Pero nakita ko to dun sa dun sa graph mo nung kay Harris.
It's yung dalawang kung may makita kayo na yung dalawang peak. Okay?
Na nag-overlap, di ba?
Oo. So usually ang doon parang 3 times higher lagi yung limit of detection kaysa doon sa blank. Dito, ito yung parang nila representation The signal to noise ratio is always 3 kung may sample ka compared doon sa blank. Tapos kapag 10 times na, yun na yung limit of quantitation. May tanong ata merong ako nakita panibagong. Sir, pwede po bang magpa-solve ng mga exercises para masabayan po namin kayo habang nagsosolve? Yung example siguro na binigay ko last time, okay? The mistakes that I have there is I use the lower LOQ. I use the blank standard deviation. But if you follow the example that we have there, teka, bubuksan ko yung handout. PowerPoint. Okay. So the mistakes that I did here, share. So remember this one. So this is the one that says why it is 3 times. Kasi yun yung 3 times ng standard deviation ng blank. Okay? So yung sample niya at least 3 times ng standard deviation ng blank. Kaya times 3. So I think the mistakes that I made here, the S that I use, ang ginamit ko ay yung sa blank. Okay? Here, this one. But the S that I should use should be that of the sample. And the way I usually do it, because minsan nagkakamali ako sa pag-input ng calculator, I usually use Excel files. I don't know how useful it will be for you because yung analytical kasi namin dito, meron kaming Excel component. So when we do statistical analysis or this thing, pinapa-Excel ko sila. So I think instead of using the 0.56, which is the sample, I use the 0.624. Okay, so yun yung mistake ko doon sa recording. Okay? So yun yung parang, let's say, if you want to
Medyo humina na yung signal ni sir.
Intermittent yung ano eh. Okay? So yun lang yung ano, if you visit the video again, so the mistakes that I have there, if you're going to look at the Excel here, pwede naman kayo mag-Excel eh. But I would prefer, I don't know if you still know how to input everything in the calculator and then you just press what is the mean, standard deviation. Alam ko meron kaming technique dati noon eh. But when we use Excel, I usually ask my students to utilize Excel. Okay na ba, Hana? So ganito yung magiging problem din ninyo. We will give you the signal of the sample, the signal of the blank, and then the idea there is you need to know, or at least you need to show us how do you get the standard deviation. You can use Excel, you can use the calculator, okay, the old method. Okay? Ang gusto namin, at least alam nyo yung paano nakuha yung number.
Yung mga students ko ba, pinanood yung video? Class? Sino ba mga nandito? Si Alfred, si Paula, si Carl? Pinanood niya ba yung video? Jan?
Hindi ko pa po natapos, ma'am.
Okay. Kasi ano yun eh, 1 hour 44 minutes.
Yun na nga eh.
Papa.
Same po. Parang naka 30 minutes pa lang po.
Okay, sige. Panoorin niyo yung yung video ni Sir Elmer.
I think saan kami na doon yung parang nabitin was when we went to number 5. This one. The problem. Kung paano ang sagot ay 15.7 Nakuha ko na class. So I think this is this one, no, not this one. I think it's this. So, oh, nasaan na yun?
Exercise 5 ba yun? Method of standard addition.
Opo.
Ayan.
So if you're going to analyze yung tanong, so ito po yung tanong.
Ayan. Yan yun. In a colorimetric method.
So parang may 1 ml of well water that's analyzed for prechlorine residual using the standard addition method. And then the water sample is transferred into a 50 ml volumetric flask and diluted to volume. So aliquots of 5 ml are spiked with different volumes of 2 ppm Cl2. Okay. After which the solutions are diluted to 10 ml. So the data is given like this. So usually the way I solve this problem is parang ipipicture natin ano yung nangyayari. So ang ano doon, kung pinalo nyo yung statement doon, so parang meron kayong 1 ml sample which you put in 50 ml volumetric plus. And 5 ml, 5 ml alikot. So doon sa isa, wala kayong dinagdag. Teka, nawawala yung ano ko. Tapos dito, may dinagdag kayo mga two ppm na Cl2 na kung meron kayong table, makikita nyo, this is what? 1 ml, 2 ml, 3 ml. Right? And you dilute everything to, if I'm not mistaken, babasahin ko,
Tama 10 ml.
10 ml.
Oo.
And then what you did, okay, you get the reading. So meron kayong reading yung ito 0.170, ito 0.343, ito 0.513, ito 0.768. Now the question now is, how are you going to plot them? Okay? So ito, ano to, X or Y? Kasi ang tatanungin sa inyo, ano yung X axis at ano yung Y axis? So ano itong mga value na to?
Y-axis po.
So yan yung Y axis. Now the next question is, ano yung X axis? So that is the concentration of the iodine. Now the question is, ano yung concentration ng iodine? Because as you could see here, so at least we could say this one has nothing. Or chlorine, not iodine, chlorine. So the other one is what? Meron kang 2 ppm na dinagdag mo 1 ml na nadalute sa 10 ml, which is equals to what? Two divided by 10, 0.20. Tapos yung isa 2 ppm din, pero 2 ml yung dinagdag mo, dinalute mo sa 10, so that would be 0.40. And then yung isa, which is 3 ml, 3 ml, no, 2 ppm, pero 3 ml. So that will give you 0.6. So what you're going to do is you're going to plot that. So, ito na yung aking Excel. So, pwede mo i-ano yung 0, 0.2, 0.4, tsaka 0.6, and then corresponding reading. Okay? Which, according to the handout, this one is what? 0.170, 0.343, 0.513, and then 0.768. Tapos ang gagawin natin, na-plot natin siya. And then maybe we can get the equation of the line. Kasi anong kailangan natin dito? Kailangan natin ito. So once we have that, so we can go back dito sa whiteboard. So we have an equation of the line here that we can utilize. So that's y equals
Y equals 0.982x
plus
tama ba?
point.
Plus 0.1539.
And if you're going to look at the tawag dito yung plot, you could see that pag 0 yung x, meron siyang y value. So that y value is due to the chlorine that is present doon sa sample mo. Kasi ito, dinagdag na. So all you need to do is you extend this one going to this. Paano natin gagawin yun? We set ano yung mat na ano natin dito? We will set this as 0, the y, right? So kapag siniro mo yan, ano mangyayari? We can have a negative. Isn't it around 0.16? No, okay, nawawala ako. Now you may ask, why is it negative? Because if you're going to look at the plot, nung na-extend natin, di ba? Ganito yun. So i-extend mo yun doon kung saan yung y ang 0, tapos yung x doon, yun yung value ng chlorine mo. But you have to consider also the dilution factor that you have. So if you're going to have that, so this is what you have at least doon sa sample na to. But we all know it undergo what? Dilution, right? So 0.16. So let's say this is a 0.16 ppm. So ano yung dilution factor natin? So you have here a 5 that was diluted to 10, right? So reciprocal nun, 10/5. Tapos dito, meron kayong 1 ml na inano nyo sa 50 ml. So that will give you what? 50/1. So you end up getting around 16 or 15 points. Because this one, if you're going to look at it, is nearly 0.157. So if you have the 0.157 there, you multiply by 2 times 50, so you will just get around 15.7 ppm. So crucial dito yung ano yung concentration ng chlorine ninyo nung nag-standard addition kayo. So question dito. So mas challenging to kaysa doon sa binigay ko sa inyo because yung binigay ko sa inyo is just parang single point standard addition. Ito yung multiple standard addition. Na pwede kayong tanungin, when do you need to use single point standard addition and when do you need to use multiple standard addition? So ano yung sagot nyo kapag may tanong na ganun? $50 to, yung 1 ml na dinalute mo sa 50. Doon nang galing tong 50 divided by 1 because this is dilution and this is the dilution factor. So anong sagot nyo pag tinanong kayo saan nyo gagamitin yung single point standard addition, saan nyo gagamitin yung multi-point? Ang ano doon practical answer. Pag mahal yung hinahanap mo, isang single point ang gagamitin mo. Pag mura, edi pwede kang marami. Or pag gusto mong matapos agad, you just have to do single point. Yun yung ano doon. Kasi minsan mahal yung standard eh. So, magdadagdag ka ng mga standard sa maraming sample pag multiple. So, pag parang single point, is you're just doing like a ratio and proportion.
Tsaka minsan kasi, may limitation din yung sample na sinasubmit or sample. So pagka-konti lang yung sample, hindi mo malalagyan lahat ng flask na yan ng unknown sample, unknown solution. Kaya yun, pag konti lang yung sample and you cannot really afford to make a series of dilutions, 1 point lang talaga magagawa.
Kasi lahat yan may sample. So may nagtanong dito about exercise 3.
Exercise 3.
We go to the guide. Oh, so here gusto niyo makita yung calculation dito. So we can do that. We can use the original one. Okay. So ang ano dito, given yung selectivity coefficient for ISE for K plus with respect to Na plus, it's reported for 0.052. So calculate the relative error in the determination of K plus in a solution that has a K plus concentration of 3.00 times 10 to the. Gawin na natin ito yung tama. Negative 3. If the Na plus concentration is 2 times 10 to the negative 2, 2 times 10 to the negative 3, and 2 times 10 to the negative 4. Assume that the signal from the blank is equals to 0. So if you're going to look at the handout, meron diyang formula kayong gagamitin. If I'm not mistaken, ito. Okay. So the signal from the sample is equals to the sensitivity of A, the concentration of A, plus sensitivity of other sample and concentration of sample plus the signal blank. So I'm going to use the whiteboard. Natin to. Okay, so we could say S equals to yung sensitivity ng K plus times the concentration of K plus. Tapos yung selectivity thing ng Na plus, okay, with respect to K plus, and then the concentration of your Na plus. Tapos i-add mo yun sa signal. So anong value nitong signal? 0. Okay? So ang mangyari nito, pwede nating i-isolate ito papunta doon. So you divide both sides by the sensitivity of MK plus. So ang mangyari dito, so meron tayong value ngayon, di ba? Yung concentration ng K plus. If we're going to look at the problem, so that is the concentration of 3.0 times 10 to the negative 3. So gamitin na natin yung tama. Okay? And then, ano yung K value nung dalawa? 0.052. Tapos, i-multiply natin yan. So, doon sa first case, ano yung concentration? 2.00 times 10 to the negative 2. And when you get that, makukuha mo yung ngayon yung expression dito, which is equals to, if I'm not mistaken, 3 exponent negative 3 plus 0.052 times 2 exponent negative 2, 4.04 times 10 to the negative 3. So ang question niya ngayon, paano natin makukuha yung error? So yung relative error. So usually we could say the value that we have here, i-subtract natin yan doon sa potassium lang and then divide it by 3.0 times 10 to the negative 3 and then multiply everything by 100. And you should get what? Sana wala na naman ako. Tapos pag sinolve niyo yung ibang question doon, ang papalitan niyo lang doon ito eh. Diba? Yung concentration ng Na+. And then whatever you get here, ano nyo lang dito, i-replace nyo lang. So pag mababa dito, mababa yung number na makukuha mo dito. So mas mababa yung relative error. Kuha?
Yes po, sir. Thank you po.
How about yung section V1? Okay ba? Nakuha nyo? John,
Yes po, ma'am.
Alfred. Okay, thank you. Si Carl pala yun sa section V1.
Yes po.
Okay.
Yung module 2, madali lang. Baka wala kaming problem set dun. Puro ano lang dun, quizzes. And to tell you frankly, I don't know anything about ISO. Si Ma'am mas expert kaysa sa akin. Kasi meron siya sa industry, kailangan yung mga ISO. Kami, wala kami dito nun.
So ready na ba kayo sa quiz at sa problem set? Kabisado nyo na yung yung exercises sa module 1.
Nag-Google Forms quiz ba kayo noon? Class, nag-Google Form quiz kayo?
Naka-experience na ba kayo ng Google Form quiz doon sa mga lower Chem subjects or ibang subjects?
Yes po.
Okay, sige.
Nag-quill
Alam mo
ano
yun
ba?
ba yung
Naka-proctor
Will
kayo? Or open notes lang?
Yung sa amin po dati, wala pong proctor.
Nawala. So, hindi nyo
Nag-send
alam
lang.
yung Quilgo.
Alam ko po yun, pero hindi ko po na-experience sa class.
Oo. So, parang timer na yun. Tapos ilalock yung browser nyo. So, ano ko lang sa inyo, kung ma-perfect kayo, okay lang. But, treat it na pagdating sa board exam, my suggestion kung paano kayo mag-prepare sa board exam nyo, ganyan din yung gagawin nyo dito. So that you will be what we call more experience. Kasi sabi nga namin at least here in the US, doon sa isang school na kung saan nagtuturo ako na walang proctoring device or proctoring software, honest system na or honor system na lang. So sabi namin, sige, kung mauno ka, tapos makita sa grade note, pagbalik ng in-person, trust ka, so sino paniniwalaan ano? Sa proctoring device kasi, yung parang minomonitor yung yung student, even their eye movement. So pag nakikita yung eye movement, hindi naka sa camera or pointing somewhere else, pina-plug ng software. So ang ginagawa ko, wala rin naman akong time panoorin sila habang nag-quiz. I just look at the one that were plugged. So yung pinaka-highest na plug, tinitingnan ko, bakit naka-plug yan? Yung isa, nagpakita lang ng ID, after nun, madilim na. Yung iba naman, parang tumatagal, gumaganon yung mukha nila, yung noon na lang ang nakikita. Sabi ko, hindi pwede yun. So yun yung issue ng software. At may pagka-racist nga yun kasi I remember yung na-plug yung isang estudyante, tapos pagtingin ko, bakit na-plug? Tapos pagtingin ko, ano pala siya, itim. So hindi ata ma-dissect yung background niya. Sabi ko, oh my God.
grabe, may ganon.
Tapos may isa naman, in chick, hindi siya maka-start kasi naka-set up na dapat ma-detect yung face niya. Siguro sabi ko, siguro malakas yung ilaw nito, yung parang may mga ring light. Kaya siguro hindi. Kaya tinanggal namin yung option na yun. Kasi may option kasi na quiz or exam will not start unless face detected. Tapos meron din naman yung yung nareklamo nila, pag lumalabas yung mukha nila sa camera, may tumutunog. Sabi nila, it makes us more anxious. So tinanggal din natin yung na yun. Kasi sabi ko na naman sa kanila, isipin nyo na lang na yung normal exam lang. Sabi ko, hindi naman ako creepy na panonoorin. Wala akong time, sabi ko sa kanila. But once you're plugged, lalo na yung highest na plug, sabi ko, titingnan ko talaga yan. Tsaka yung exam na, let's say, 40 and then all of a sudden, naging 100. So sabi ko, titingnan ko yan. So here, we'll just maybe kung mag-work yung Quilgo, then good. If not, then at least yung 30 minutes yung ibibigay sa inyo. Yung problem set naman, open notes eh. But we hope that you do it individually. So question, ba? Naka-isang oras na pala tayo. So most likely sa Tuesday, i-release namin yung problem set and we might not meet. Okay? And then starting maybe next week, wala akong ile-lecture sa part 2, pero quiz lang ata ibibigay namin doon. But starting the instrument, ayan, meron na akong parang recorded materials. Kasi sabi ko, mahihirapan akong gawin live because of the system that I don't know why. Hindi naman kami makapalit ng provider kasi yung buong building ang naka-internet dito. So sabi nga namin, tinake advantage kami nung internet provider. Binigyan ng low price. Ngayon, low quality din yung kuha namin.
So, apartment yan, Elmer? Apartment?
Opo, 20 floor. So 6 rooms per floor.
Okay.
Nagreklamo nga ako kasi sabi ko, hindi naman kayo nagsabi sa aming mga resident na mag-aano kayo kasi streamer kasi kami.
Anong floor mo?
6.
6.
So sabi ko, streamer kami kaya ayaw namin magpa-cable. Sinabihan kami, magpa-cable na lang ho kayo kasi libre kasama na yung sa bundle. Tapos sabi namin, paano pag iangat? Doble yung bayad. Sabi ko, wag na.
Oo nga.
Nire-rip nyo kami, sabi. It just started, I think, this, what we call this semester. So siguro, masyado na lahat nag-i-internet, kaya na siguro yung system na overload na.
Puro mo kung 20 floors, tapos 6 houses or 6 units per floor, so 120 units. Tapos lahat naka-work from home or, di ba? So talagang
isang provider
mahirap.
lang.
Isang provider lang. Yeah.
Kaya sabi ko ngayon, lahat ng webinar ko in the future, recorded na. Pre-recorded. Because kahit sa klase nga, kasi even though we are what we call in person, from time to time, we go online. Kasi minsan, pag may mga positive cases, ayaw naman namin ma-expose sa mga yun. So, we usually go on. I think I did 3 times this semester. One time, I was absent, and I told them I can do it. And another time, the opening of the school of my daughter. So I said, it's going to be chaotic during that first day. So I will lose 30 minutes. So I rather see you online. Yung Monday morning na yung last week. Kasi sabi ko, it took me 30 to 40 minutes doon. And since walang town hall, walang prior meeting nung teacher niya tsaka yung mga student. So magulo yun. So sabi ko, before I can leave the school, it's already 9. And our class starts at 9. So I said, I rather do it online. So yun yung namin dito. We have the options if ever worse comes to worse. Kasi kahit vaccinated na kami, meron pa rin mga positive cases.
So yung mga students naman are honest enough to say na nag-positive?
Usually nadidetect naman tsaka yung na yun, pag meron kang symptoms, hindi ka na pinapa-isolate na as much as possible. I have my own scare. Nakatanggap na lang ako ng email, you are exposed to a person who is found to be COVID positive. So I have to test myself for, I think since I'm vaccinated, between 3 to 5 days. So after 4 days, we found out negative and then no symptoms. So I was allowed to go back sa campus. Yun yung which I'm not sure kung kayang gawin dyan. Ang ko nga,
parang contact tracing yon, Elmer? Contact tracing? Kasi
kaya nga
mo sa email?
Kaya sa email, kasi hindi nila sinasabi kung sino, siguro yung nag-positive, sinabi sino mga na-interact mo. So, kaya the one who got positive will ask, so sino yung mga kakontak mo yung araw na yun? Kasi ang nga ngayon kahit nawawala. So even if you are found positive, if you don't have the symptoms, as long as you have mask, you can go back. Ang problema lang pag meron kang symptoms, yun yung kailangan So far okay pa naman. So I don't know ano mangyayari sa atin dyan, especially kayo, because I think in the Chem Congress yesterday, they're trying to find ways at least how you can go back. But the question is, ang problema kasi sa atin dyan, yung vaccine accessibility. Ang problema namin dito, vaccine hesitancy.
Actually, dito rin sa Pilipinas, may vaccine hesitancy din.
Meron pa rin.
Oo. Ano nang herd immunity nyo? Ilang percent na kayo?
At least dito sa New York, naka 80% na yung vaccinated. Tapos ni-required nung mayor, niloloko ko nga yung misis ko kasi isang co-teacher niya na kaibigan niya ayaw magpa-vaccinate. So sabi ko, di ba ngayon na yung last day kapag hindi sisibakin sila. Pero meron din naman yung exemption due to religious belief.
Oh, may ganun?
Pero ang requirement sa kanila is weekly testing.
Oh, mas ma-hassle yun.
Okay lang naman kasi yung testing nila ngayon. Basta wag lang yung PCR. Sabi ko, mamumura ka sa sakit minsan. Yung last time na anak ko, ang sakit talaga. Sabi ko, ayoko na mag-ganon. So meron kami yung parang cotton swab.
Saliva? Okay.
So,
pero dito kasi mahal. Kaya mahal ang PCR. Mga 5K.
Talaga, mura kasi dito kaya hindi namin pinaproblem.
Kaya, kesa naman magpa-weekly PCR ka, nasusundutin yung ilong mo, yung throat mo, magpa-vaccinate ka na kasi libre.
Kasi nga, sabi namin, the best way nga, sabi namin for the government is to send ng mga rapid test sa bawat household. Tapos kapag nag-positive, i-confirm sa PCR. Parang
so, may mga rapid kits na kayo na pwedeng sa household?
Yun yung ginagamit nila, yung parang antigen. Parang tapos kapag doon nag-positive, i-confirm nila. Minsan nga negative doon, pagdating sa PCR, positive.
Positive.
Kasi yun yung parang yung parang tinanong ko nga yung mga estudyante ko, analytical setup din, pero non-chem kasi mga clinical laboratory science major. So sabi ko, ano yung best way na matingin yung niya? Yung isang sagot niya ng isang student. Give all household this test kit para at least ma-monitor agad yung thing, which is really a good idea. Pero ang yung isang Abbott, they close yung factory na nagmamanufacture nung
kit,
rapid test kit. Kasi nilalako ko yung mga kaibigan ko doon. Ano yan? Yung performance 50%. So parang hindi niya nagtetest. Naalala ko kasi yung Ohio governor, he was supposed to meet President Trump. So in the morning, he was tested positive. And then in the evening, he was tested to be negative. So sabi niya, ano yung instrument ninyo? So they closed the factory, nag-shut down. Kasi hindi yata nila maayos yung thing. Kaya ang problema nga dito, ang daming mga matitigas sa ulo. Ang nga ngayon, yung sa 2:30, at in-advise ko, kung pupunta kayo dito, make sure wag kayong pumunta doon sa South. Kasi there are a lot of teachers who pass away in the first week dahil wala silang mask mandate.
Anong university yung sa South?
Basta yung nasa Texas or
sa
Florida.
Texas or Florida. Okay.
Matigas ang ulo ng governor dun sa Florida. I think in the first week of school, sa isang district, 10 teachers yung namatay. Yung elementary teachers. Because of that. They don't want the mandate. Sabi nga namin, ayaw nila ng mandate pero vaccinated na naman sila. Mahirap. And I experienced it when we went to Dr. Aga, the Buffalo. So when we get to Niagara Falls, we're the only one that has a mask. So parang mahihiya kami. Tayo lang naka-mask.
Bakit? Hindi na doon?
Kasi medyo rural na yun eh.
Okay.
So yun yung problema dito.
Oo. Kayo ba mga children, meron na ba kayong vaccination? Basta pag may chance, go kayo. Ayan, sige nga, tika ko nga mga thumbs up.
At anong vaccine nyo? The best vaccine is the one that is available?
Oh, wow, marami na din pala. Okay.
Marami na. May Moderna na, oh.
Okay.
Moderna, talagang knockdown ka pag second dose, right? No, I have Moderna. Tapos yung wife ko tsaka panganay ko, meron silang Pfizer.
Ilan taon yung panganay mo, Elmer?
17 po.
Okay. So,
Kasi
ngayon,
12 yun eh.
hindi pa kayo nagva-vaccinate ng mga children? Wala pa?
Hindi pa, pero mukhang in-approve na last Monday lang ng Pfizer. I think from 5 to 12 years old.
Sa
Sabi
Saudi
ko,
Arabia kasi, nagva-vaccinate na ng children eh.
Talaga?
Mm-mm.
Kasi titest daw muna nila. Ang ano nga yung issue po ngayon, yung third dose.
Oo, yung booster ang tawag, booster.
Kasi hindi in-approve, ang in-approve lang for those who are special needs, yung parang may yung parang
Comorbidities.
yung kung ganun. So, kasi worry na si Mrs. Siya yung una sa amin. She got her first dose way back February. Ako April na.
Anong vaccine niya?
Pfizer. Ako lang yung Moderna. Moderna, second shot.
Ano bang difference ng Sinovac at Sinopharm?
Hindi ko alam.
Kasi may nag-chat Sinopharm, tapos may Sinovac, pero parehong China.
I think yung Sinovac is based on the usual vaccine, yung dead cells, compared to yung iba mRNA. Pero sabi ni Roel de Samero, the best daw ay yung sa Novavax. Pero hindi pa ata available.
May tinano yun sa US, sa inyo yon US?
Parang dito rin ho, kasi siya protein-based.
Okay. Grabe,
Kasi
no,
nagka-problema sa Johnson & Johnson.
Talaga. Ang tawag sa amin dito niya, Janssen.
Johnson, opo.
Oo, pero 1 dose lang yan. Sa university, yun ang yun ang vaccine. Sa university, oo.
Kasi yun yung pangatlong vaccine dito, tapos pinull out. Yun yung gusto ng marami kasi isang beses lang. Kaysa dun sa dalawa.
Baka yung pinull out dyan, yung pinadala dito. Pero so far, walang naman problema sa wala akong nadidinig sa university. Siyempre, kung meron man problema, kagad yan, mababalita. Pero so far, wala naman.
Kasi naging hesitant din, di ba, doon sa, yun, yung may mga namamatay daw na vaccine. Sanofi,
Ganon.
Kaya po ang doon ayaw nila kasi ayaw nila magkaroon ng liability kapag may nangyari diyan sa noon. Dahil nga doon sa Demvaxia ba yun?
Yung Demvaxia, oo.
So lahat yan product ng analytical chemistry. Kaya natatawa ako doon yun sa abot kasi mga ka-batchmate ko sa grad school sa Chicago sila. So, bakit ganun yung nyo? 50%. So, may isang question dito. Sir, question po. Ano po yung significance ng 95% confidence level sa exercise 2, number 4 po? So, tingnan natin. Exercise 2. Yeah.
Para wala na bang number 4?
Ito yung 95%.
Sorry.
So usually, pag sinabi mong 95%, yun yung confidence interval eh. The higher the number, mas higher yung confidence level mo. Okay? Ano lang yan, may mga value yan na kino-compare ka. Let's say 90%, 95%, 99%, 99.9. So ano lang to, in each what we call measurements that you put, kailangan ilagay mo kung ano yung confidence level mo. Yun yung use nung number na yan. This part is more on doon sa statistics, how statistics is being applied in analytical chemistry. So, the higher the confidence level, the wider po yung ano niya. So, parang if you remember the Gaussian curve, naalala niyo po yung Gaussian curve? So, usually, pag tinitingnan mo yung confidence level doon sa Gaussian curve, so let's say, parang bell yun, di ba? So pag sinabi mong 90%, so parang ito lang yun. So pag 99 or 95, move ka pa doon. So lahat yan ng population na yan. And then if it's 90 na doon, so almost all. So ganun yung difference ng significance level na ibig sabihin dito. Tanong, ready na kayo sa quiz?
Thumbs up for kung ready sa quiz.
Bakit
naman teary-eyed si Alfred? Ano ba yan? Bakit ganyan ang mga reaction nyo?
Open notes
Teary-eyed?
to. I mean, open notes yung problem set nyo, no?
Yung isa-isang luha lang nakasmile naman si Kirsten.
Kami noon, yung 137 ko kay Baril, 7 to 8:30 TTH. Inatok pa kami. Pasok doon. Tapos ang classmate ko, yung mga summa cum laude, magna cum laude, sabi na, paano tayo papasa nito?
Okay. Siguro yung sa module 2, module 2 is really about readings. Readings lang talaga yan. So siguro if you will ask to have a Zoom meeting and then may questions kayo about the reading, siguro we can open the we can open a Zoom link para sa klase. But siniscan ko na yung module 2, puro readings talaga.
Yung nung makita ko, ano to, ISO. Hindi ata namin nakuha to nung 137 namin. Ang ano doon is more on yung quality control tsaka yung tinatawag na quality assurance. Yun yung parang main point doon. So, as you know, sabi nga nila, one thing na kahit pupuntahan mo pagka-graduate mo is either you be in the QC or serve as a QA. So, ang ano lang naman doon is making sure that if you're producing products, that the quality pass whatever the company said. So, let's say kung nandoon ka sa wastewater treatment plant, so before you release the water, make sure na na-meet nila yung specifications na sinet, let's say here in the state. That's why they said, if you're going to look at it, yung tap water is safer compared to doon sa tinatawag nating bottled water. The main reason for that is tap water is regulated. Yung bottled water, hindi yan nire-regulate eh. Kaya nga, kamot ng ulo ng company ng bottled water when a law force them to reveal the source of their what we call water. And ano sa tingin nyo yung source? Karamihan, tap water lang. Okay? You're just paying around 2,000% doon sa cost na nakukuha mo. Ang problema nga lang daw sa tap water is yung connection from the wastewater treatment plant going doon sa bahay nyo, at least here sa US, medyo yung since it's old, so may mga pollutants, but you can still what we call resolve that using yung tinatawag na mga filter, the Brita filter. Okay? Na-study ho namin yan sa AGA lab, yung isang Koreano.
Okay.
So sabi namin, how long are you going to leave the faucet open? Oh, overnight. So how you know how many liters? Oh, I already timed it. Tapos nilalagay niya yung Brita. Tapos tinitingnan niya how many liters of water hanggat hindi na efficient yung filter doon. And he found out that meron ng limit after several liters, hindi na effective yung ano. And you can see it in real life. Iba na yung lasa ng tubig mo. Dito sa amin, may Brita kami. So parang, palitan mo na yung filter na yan. Okay? But I don't know there in the Philippines. Kahit nga yung ano nila diyan, yung bottled water, sometimes kapag pinabayaan, kasi anything with water, ma'am, di ba, laging ano, kung hindi man chemical, biological, ano eh.
So dito, merong mga refilling stations. So, pero yung mga refilling stations under ng DOH. And minomonitor naman yung chemical properties ng ano ata, every quarter. So 4 times a year. And then, ano ata, bi-yearly nga, biannual ata, 2 times. Pero yung biological parameters like yung mga coliform count, minomonitor yan parang every month ata. Pero meron ding mga problema. Kasi minsan sa refilling stations hindi nahuhugasan masyado ang yung container.
Kasi dito
Tapos
nga lang,
syempre,
yung timba na iniwan ng tubig, kinabukasan kita mo, madulas na eh. Sabi ko, hindi maganda
may lumot na syempre. Pag
yun
madulas
na,
kasi, ibig sabihin ng glass meron ng bacteria, meron ng slimy layer. So nagmo-multiply na yung microorganisms.
So I think this ISO thing, yung chapter 2 na yan, this is just a product kung ano yung in-apply noon. I mean, the different laws and ordinances na kailangan. I remember during that time, yung Solid Waste Act, yung mga iba-ibang Waste Act na in-implement during that time. So, yun yung I think ang focus nung tinatawag natin Module 2.
Yung module 2 kasi parang kinuwento niya lahat ng mga ISO. So ito yung mga international standards. And particularly yung standard para sa laboratory. Kaya yung may number yun 17025. So yung 17025, it's a compliance, laboratory compliance. So in other words, merong sinet sila ng mga requirements na dapat nagko-comply ang laboratory. So meron kang technical requirements, meron kang management requirements. So siyempre tayo sa chemist, nung talaga tayo hinahasa sa technical requirements. So sa technical requirements, nandun na yung mga method validation, how you prepare yung mga quality control, quality assurance. So lahat nandun yun sa technical requirements. Yung management requirements lang, it's about documentation, how you document your laboratory procedure. Usually, it consists of different, meron kang quality manual, meron kang quality procedure. So, puro documentation yun. It also tells about yung traceability ng mga documents. Pero sa technical, meron din tayong tinatawag na traceability. Ganon. So, it's all readings. Readings lang talaga yan.
Yep.
And sa Philippines, we have the Philippine Accreditation Bureau. The Philippine Accreditation Bureau, or the PAB, is under the Department of Trade and Industry. And the PAB, sila yung nag-a-accredit ng mga laboratories who would like to be ISO 17025 compliant. So pag sa laboratory, meron talagang number 17025 kasi marami yan eh. Meron pag kumpanya lang, management requirements 9001, meron pagka sa environment compliance 14001, pero dun sa module natin, it's about testing laboratories or other laboratories na nasa mga companies. So it's 17025. So yun.
Dito naman sa amin, since meron kaming forensic science, yung natutunan namin, whenever you collect a sample, meron silang tinatawag na chain of custody. So, yung chain of custody na yun, kung saan napunta, yung sample na na-collect, let's say sa crime scene, okay, kung sino man humawak nun, tinitrace nila yung mga tao na may connection doon. And they strictly follow this like a standard operating procedure. Kasi once hindi na-follow yun, pwedeng questionin sa court. Okay? Yung example nga dito, yung isang baseball player sa Milwaukee. So, challenge nila bakit ang tagal ng yung transportation from Milwaukee to Montreal nung sample. So, nanalo sila the first year. The second year, wala. Nakita talagang gumagamit siya ng performance-enhancing drug. So, usually may mga protocol silang ginagamit. And merong ang big issue dito, yung isang chemist sa Boston, doing chemical analysis in a very unscientific ways. So parang ang ginagawa niya, talagang, kasi yung kaso dito is based sa dami nung illegal drugs na meron ka. So pag lower than that, hindi ka kakasuhan. But if you're higher than that amount, kakasuhan ka. And they found out that na masyadong questionable yung practice niya to the point na nung nasuspend siya, lahat ng kaso na involved siya na na-acquit lahat ng mga tao doon. So ganun yung parang protocol na dapat sundin. Yun yung experience kasi we have a forensic science major and some of the faculty became friends. Tapos nagtatanong ako yung kung paano yung mga protocol na ganyan. Sabi nila, that's why we don't take undergraduate interns. Because if the other side will know that this is an undergraduate interns, they will grill you in the case and most likely you will lose the case by technicality. Kasi ganun yung pag wala ka ng lusot,
Nawala ulit si Sir.
Ayan. So
Okay.
question. Alauna na.
Meron ba sa inyong gusto maging forensic chemist? Sige nga, tinako nga. Thumbs up nga kung sino may gusto ng kung gusto maging forensic chemist. Wow, si Carl, si Errol. Okay, sige. Ipapasok ko kayo sa PNP.
Marami tayong tawag dito, alumni. I think the one who's head in Cavite was a batchmate of mine, two of them.
Si Oliver.
Si Oliver tsaka si Mari.
Dachitan.
Mas boss pa, yung boss, lower pa lang siya. Yung boss niya, kabatchmate din namin, si Madel.
Si Madel, oo. So kung sino yung mga may gusto ang starting doon is 35 to 40 ata. Or higher pa.
Meron na bang forensic science program?
Wala eh. Actually, yun ang gusto talaga ng ng PNP.
Manila. Opo. Kasi UP Manila was proposing during that time, pero hindi, kasi nandun sa kanila yung pathologist si Fortune.
Okay.
But I think they didn't push through kasi na-meet ko yung dean. Sabi ko, I can help you because we have a program in the US ng forensic science program because they become popular because of the TV series CSI.
Okay.
Tapos pupunta sila dito, nagtatanong yung magulang, can we take forensic science without science? Sabi nga namin, andun na nga yung science, pero meron kaming sagot doon. Oh yeah, you can go to criminal justice.
Okay.
So question.
Wala na. Sige. Okay na tayo. So Monday, yung quiz, and then Tuesday hanggang Thursday, yun yung open ang problem set. So it will be open for 3 days. And pero syempre bubuksan